The fragile calm, a deceptive stillness that often precedes a storm. Between nuclear-armed neighbors Pakistan and India, a region fraught with historical tensions and geopolitical complexities, is once again cracking, the foundations of peace seemingly unable to withstand the pressures building beneath the surface. With tensions along the line of control, the de facto border in the disputed region of Kashmir, and the international border reaching alarming levels, raising fears of a potential escalation into a full-blown conflict. Recent military activity, including troop movements and heightened surveillance, sharp diplomatic exchanges, with both sides accusing each other of violating agreements and stoking tensions, and a fierce information war, waged through media outlets and social media platforms, further inflaming public opinion and hardening positions, have created a volatile situation, a powder keg ready to explode with potentially devastating consequences. With global implications. The interconnected nature of our world means that this crisis cannot be viewed in isolation. This isn't just a regional dispute, it's a flashpoint with the potential to destabilize the entire region. Any escalation could disrupt global supply chains, impacting economies worldwide, trigger a refugee crisis, overwhelming neighboring countries and international aid organizations, and, in the worst case, risk nuclear conflict. A scenario that would have catastrophic consequences for the entire planet. The roots of this crisis are deep entrenched in decades of mistrust and unresolved issues. Historical grievances, stemming from the partition of India in 1947 and subsequent conflicts, territorial disputes particularly over the Kashmir region, which both countries claim in full but control in part, and a persistent lack of trust, fueled by accusations of cross-border terrorism and interference. Both governments face domestic pressures, with nationalist sentiments running high and political opposition eager to exploit any perceived weakness, making hardline stances politically tempting, as leaders seek to project strength and resolve to their constituents, but dangerously destabilizing, pushing the two nations closer to the brink of war. The world must pay close attention, and international actors must work to de-escalate the situation and encourage dialogue, as instability here sends ripples across the globe, impacting everything from trade to security. This video will cut through conflicting narratives, sifting through the noise to provide a clear and unbiased analysis of the situation, focusing on verified facts, separating truth from propaganda and misinformation, and the profound human impact, highlighting the stories of those caught in the crossfire and the potential for widespread suffering. Understanding why this conflict matters is essential. It's a moral imperative to be informed about the challenges facing our world, not just for South Asia, but for the entire international community. But for everyone invested in global peace and security, as the choices made in this region will have far-reaching consequences for us all. In recent weeks, a fragile peace along the line of control has been repeatedly tested. The situation remains tense, with both sides closely monitoring each other's activities. Cross-border incidents have shattered the uneasy ceasefire, turning areas once quiet into zones of active engagement. The sound of artillery fire has become an unwelcome norm for residents living near the border. With both sides reporting renewed shelling and small arms fire in Kashmir, the mutual accusations paint a picture of escalating hostility. Each instance of firing raises concerns about a potential return to full-scale conflict. On May 28, tensions spiked further. Pakistan accused India of unprovoked firing in Neelam Valley, alleging that the Indian side initiated the exchange without justification. This accusation added another layer of complexity to the already strained relationship. While India claimed Pakistan violated the ceasefire, asserting that the Pakistani forces were the first to engage in hostile actions, these counterclaims make it difficult to ascertain the exact sequence of events. In Poonch and Rajouri on May 30th, further incidents were reported, exacerbating the already precarious situation along the border. The frequency of these incidents is a cause for serious concern. Both sides report casualties and claim to have responded proportionately, each justifying their actions as a necessary measure of self-defense. However, the human cost of these exchanges is undeniable, but independent verification is nearly impossible, as access to the affected areas is heavily restricted, making it challenging for journalists and observers to provide unbiased accounts. Satellite imagery shows both militaries moving reinforcements, a clear indication of heightened alert levels. Artillery, armored vehicles closer to the front, suggesting preparations for a potential escalation in the conflict. The movement of heavy weaponry is particularly alarming. raising the risk of accidental escalation as the proximity of forces increases the likelihood of unintended clashes. Airspace violations by drones have further heightened tensions, adding another layer of complexity to the already volatile situation, with each side accusing the other of surveillance and provocations, fostering an environment of distrust and animosity. Military leave has been cancelled in critical sectors, signaling a state of heightened alert and preparedness for potential conflict. And readiness drills are ongoing, fueling mutual suspicion and increasing the likelihood of misinterpretations. Aggressive rhetoric from military leaders on both sides, amplified by media coverage, lowers the threshold for conflict, making de-escalation increasingly difficult. The combination of military buildup and hostile language creates a dangerous feedback loop, makes this one of the most dangerous periods in years, demanding immediate attention from international mediators. The risk of a minor incident spiraling out of control into a larger confrontation has never been higher, requiring utmost caution and diplomatic efforts to prevent further escalation. The media in both Pakistan and India has become a battleground, amplifying official narratives and often obscuring the truth. After each skirmish, national outlets echo their military's claims, creating echo chambers that reinforce public bias and hinder diplomacy. Indian media may tout the destruction of terrorist launch pads, while Pakistani outlets highlight civilian casualties, both with little independent verification. Restricted access for international journalists means much of what's reported is based on speculation or propaganda. Social media further muddies the waters, spreading unverified videos and disinformation that inflame passions. State and non-state actors alike manipulate online narratives, making rational discourse difficult. International news organizations strive for balance but face their own challenges in verifying facts. Discerning reality requires skepticism, cross-referencing multiple sources and waiting for independent analysis. In this information war, the truth is often the first casualty. The world is watching closely with bated breath as tensions continue to simmer in South Asia. The international community understands the gravity of the situation, recognizing that any misstep could have far-reaching consequences. As tensions escalate, with the UN, the foremost global body, finding itself at the center of diplomatic efforts, the organization is trying to navigate a complex web of historical grievances and current geopolitical realities. US, a key player on the world stage, is deeply involved in behind-the-scenes negotiations, leveraging its influence to try and de-escalate the conflict. China, with its own strategic interests in the region, is carefully calibrating its response, seeking to balance its relationship with both India and Pakistan, and others urging restraint and dialogue. Across continents, nations are united in their call for a peaceful resolution, emphasizing the importance of communication and understanding. The UN Secretary-General has called for immediate de-escalation, issuing a strong statement urging both sides to refrain from any actions that could further inflame the situation. But the organization's ability to intervene is limited, facing the constraints of international law and the complexities of sovereign nations. The US, balancing ties with both countries, finds itself in a delicate position, striving to maintain stability without appearing to favor one side over the other. Privately pushes for a return to the 2021 ceasefire, hoping to restore a semblance of calm and prevent further escalation, wary of broader Indo-Pacific instability. The potential for the conflict to spill over into neighboring regions is a major concern for Washington. China, a close ally of Pakistan and rival to India, is walking a tightrope, seeking to protect its own interests while avoiding any actions that could exacerbate the crisis. Calls for dialogue but subtly backs Pakistan's position on Kashmir. Beijing's stance reflects its long-standing strategic partnership with Islamabad. The EU, deeply concerned about the potential humanitarian consequences, and Middle Eastern states urge peace, recognizing the devastating impact that conflict could have on the region's already fragile stability, highlighting the economic risks of conflict which could disrupt trade routes and destabilize financial markets across the globe. While Russia maintains a neutral stance, carefully monitoring the situation and refraining from taking sides, global powers recognize that a conflict here could disrupt trade, trigger humanitarian crises, potentially leading to a mass displacement of people and a surge in refugee flows, and shift regional power balances. The geopolitical landscape could be irrevocably altered, with far-reaching implications for the entire world. Yet, their influence is limited by the willingness of India and Pakistan to heed external advice. Ultimately, the fate of the region rests in the hands of the two nations themselves. The collective message is clear. Step back from the brink. The international community is united in its plea for peace and stability. Whether that message is heard remains uncertain. The world can only wait and hope that cooler heads will prevail. Recent intelligence leaks and exposed covert operations have deepened mistrust between the two nations. An alleged dossier from a former Indian operative details cross-border raids, prompting denials from New Delhi and fueling Pakistani accusations of subversion. Pakistan's intelligence agencies use these reports to justify heightened military readiness, while India counters with claims of foiled Pakistani espionage. Independent verification is elusive, making it hard to separate fact from propaganda. These exposures intensify paranoia, tighten security, and make diplomatic overtures even more difficult. The shadow war of intelligence and counterintelligence is a critical, often hidden driver of the ongoing crisis. The greatest victims of this conflict are civilians living along the border, who endure constant fear, disrupted lives, and economic hardship. Schools close, families flee, and psychological trauma is widespread, especially among children. Trade between the two countries grinds to a halt, hurting local economies and stalling regional development. Civil society efforts for peace are undermined by renewed hostilities, making cultural and academic exchanges nearly impossible. The opportunity cost is immense. Resources spent on military readiness could transform healthcare, education, and poverty alleviation. The cycle of conflict stifles hope and progress for millions. The true cost is measured in lost futures and diminished dreams. Experts agree that the current standoff is more than a random flare-up. It's a product of shifting strategies, domestic politics, and unresolved disputes. Dr. Ananya Sharma notes both sides are adopting more assertive, preemptive postures, increasing the risk of miscalculation. Retired Lieutenant General Tariq Khan stresses that without addressing Kashmir's core issues, cycles of violence will persist. Economic analyst Dr. Hassan Iqbal highlights the massive developmental losses caused by constant military readiness. The India-exposed narrative, if it entrenches positions, only deepens economic malaise. Dr. Priya Singh urges international engagement that facilitates, not dictates, dialogue. Solutions must be homegrown. The information war often overshadows real suffering, making objectivity essential. These expert views reveal a conflict shaped by history, ambition, and the ever-present risk of escalation. Careful, informed international attention is needed now more than ever. Beneath the surface, political agendas and hidden motives drive the cycle of escalation. In India, tough stances on Pakistan can rally domestic support, especially during elections or internal crises. For Pakistan, focusing on the border unites the nation and internationalizes the Kashmir issue. Geopolitical rivalries, India's ties with the US, Pakistan's with China, add layers of complexity, turning regional disputes into global chess matches. Military-industrial interests in both countries benefit from sustained tension, making de-escalation harder. Understanding these motives is crucial for any real progress toward peace. As of June 2025, the situation remains perilous, with nuclear-armed rivals locked in a dangerous standoff. The risk of miscalculation is high, and the consequences would be catastrophic for the region and the world. Media narratives and disinformation complicate efforts to de-escalate, making transparency and independent verification vital. International actors must persistently urge restraint, facilitate dialogue, and address root causes, not just manage symptoms. The human cost is immense, with millions' futures at stake. Lasting peace demands sustained commitment from all stakeholders, both regional and global. The world must remain vigilant, supporting diplomacy and civil society efforts to build trust. The people of Pakistan and India deserve a future free from the shadow of war, and the world has a responsibility to help make that future possible.